Hello and welcome to the greenhouse on a fine winter's day, and I love it when it's snowing like this. But today is about sowing your onions early to ensure you can have the best possible success for the growing season ahead. Let's start by just clearing the decks, making sure we've got a nice cleanish space to be working in. When I grow onions, I always tend to lean on seeds a little bit more. I find that in terms of variety, there's plenty more to choose out there if you go from seed, and also they're just that little bit more reliable for me here. Less of a chance of them bolting for one, and also you tend to just get a bigger crop at the end. I had some real success here with things like zabroon shallots, but you'll find in general that I tend to focus on Italian varieties of vegetables. So if you're new here, the whole way that I got started growing was by seeking out things that I'd had over in Italy visiting family or on holidays, things like that. So vegetables like broccoli rabe, for example, that's something that I'd never find here in the supermarkets. So I started off by growing those and I've had some real success. But today we're going to look at how to sow onions from seed and then look at what that next step is afterwards in terms of pricking them out and getting them ready to get into the ground. Stage one is that you're going to want some seed trays. Now the idea with these is that we're going to fill them up with compost and then we're going to broadcast the seed all across the top. I've got one tray for each variety that I'm going to grow. I've just got a multi-purpose compost here. You could go for a specific seed variety if you wish. I've done that in the past and had some success. Here's the first variety that I'm getting started with. These are from Tropea, which is in Calabria in Italy down south. Very well renowned variety. If you look up the price per kilo online, you'll see how much they normally are. Of course, these are going to be grown in Norfolk, so it'll be their own beast, but the genetics are there to have a very similar result. And when you're sowing the seeds themselves, try not to overthink it too much. You just want an even spread of the seed without them being too close to each other. But if that does happen, you can just prick out the ones that you want and leave the others, because we're going to be pricking these all out into module trays eventually. It's important to firm down your seed trays, and this just provides that contact between the compost itself and the seed. And once that's paired with water and warmth, the seed knows it's time to germinate. And once the seeds have germinated, they'll be grown on in module trays like these, where they can then grow on into spring and be planted out individually. The trays will now be moved indoors into a heated propagator. I love it when the garden's like this, especially when it's snowing. It really does feel like everything's on pause, but that means, it's a good chance to go out, neaten a few bits up. For example, I've got a climbing rose out the front, which we can go over and prune. And I've also got some other bush roses, some David Austins over there we can have a look at too. But for now, in this moment, I'm just going to take it in and really enjoy what this looks like, covered in a blanket of snow. Here I'm just snipping off the whips that are sticking out, the sort of thing that might catch in the wind, snap off and cause disease. The plan here is to take off the worst of it and then come back another day to do the tying in. We're over with the David Austin rose bushes now, and I'm just clearing a bit of space so I can see what I'm doing. To start with, I like to remove any of the growth that's pointing inwards. The goal here is to achieve an open goblet shape. It's also crucial to remove any diseased or dead growth. I also like to remove about a third of last year's growth and always prune down to an outward facing bud. Well, that's how I prune my David Austin roses, and we always get a fantastic display, both from those bush ones and the climbing rose out the front. I'm going to get rid of these clippings, and then it's time to build a snowman.
Daddy, gotta catch you! Cabelos cor de mel se I did it. It's called
Seu nome é Mabel.
Did you say sky?